Hello, my name is Alice Major, and I'm going to read to you today from this book, Standard Candles, published by the University of Alberta Press. It seemed appropriate because a standard candle is something that astronomers use to measure out into deep space. And we've been measuring a lot of distance in the past months of pandemic and social isolation and social distancing. So the title of the first poem I'm going to read is actually an equation. It's the formula that Einstein developed to measure the distance between any 2 points in space-time. And it goes like this. Distance squared equals the change in x squared plus the change in y squared plus the change in z squared minus the speed of light times the change in time squared. Now, this may sound like a somewhat pretentious title for a poem, but I love this concept. There's always this consistent relationship between any two things in the universe, no matter how distant they are in space or how far apart in time. And the equation itself is actually an expansion of one we all learn in high school. You know that formula for triangles, a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Those legs are always tied together. So here, I'll read you the poem. Everything in the universe is held, everything. The whole bewildering totality of star and atom, event and void in a net of connection. The overlapping sea of space-time, where every distance through time, through space, can be measured from that slant line hypotenuse by the old geometrist's theory of triangle. Events combine in patterns that may stretch and shift, yet stay forever linked, a faith beneath all partings on which geometry insists. She has walked the baseline of grief, step by step, wondering what point to fix on in the circling funeral wreath of galaxies. There is no point where the dead can wait for her unchanged, no future heaven out of time. Only the faint and fading ripples of the past, retained as best she can. Remembered touch of hands that rearranged her hair and pointed to Orion. This much there will always be. This evidence of closeness, relativity, to etch upon the fine glass instruments of the heart. She turns to the tiny distances of home as points of reference, spacing of photos on the mantelpiece, brushes and comb upon a dresser. From such angles, cosines, spaces, she will slowly try to measure out to the stars. From this home address in the realm of starry vast forever, she paces out the length of earthliness, that final triangulated measurement that verifies the rest. So the second poem I'd like to read to you is maybe a little more cheerful. In fact, it's called Hope. and here I guess I'm channeling my inner Emily Dickinson. You'll probably recognize the famous quote by her. You come upon it suddenly in some abandoned square, reached by random side streets that you forgot were there. A statue in stolid granite. It is carved life-size, neither more nor less. A girl with ordinary eyes. At first, you do not notice that draping of a cloak stitched with 1,000 feathers, fastened at her throat. A sheer, grey, unseen blur, unless perhaps the light falling athwart the office towers catches its faint weight and stirs it to iridescence, radiance afloat. Hope is that thing with feathers catching at the throat. Thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed the poems. And by the way, if you're interested in a copy of Standard Candles, I do have a pile. You can contact me at my home email, alice.major@shaw.ca. Finally, I'd like to say thank you, Turnstone Press, for bringing us together. Take care, all.
Hi, my name is Lauren Carter, and I am the author of Following Sea, published by Turnstone Press. Tobacco Lake. My mother's wrinkled hands rub soap into my uncle's hair, reach for him as he tips into the lake. Together they struggle in this place that once was their playground, my mother crawling across the ribbed sandy bottom like a crab, my uncle planning mischief. Crouched nearby, I dig shells out of the mud and watch them, silhouetted by the dropping sun. Two old people wrapped in a silence far from my breathing, in a place I have not learned. Together they stumble in smaller footprints while I listen to my breath counting time to the laughter of my nephews nearby. Later, for the youngest, my uncle describes the lake's sea monster, his eyes catching the light of an early moon as he sits on the splintered dock, leaning towards its edge. My mother holds her brother upright as my nephew gazes out, searching for the creature's distant shape, for its scaled back breaking the water's quiet skin. Migration, 1868. 1. 5 years by then in Owen Sound. 6 children. A shop at Boyd's Wharf where the schooners and steamers slid in, cutting calm water to sell the fish that frothed in the shallows offshore, carry passengers south to Meaford. In John's eyes, every boat took them with it. 2. She belongs to what she left behind. Black char of the village burned to the ground, Richard, 4th son, buried back there. 3. The walls of close forest rebuild her past, those ribbons of water that tumble from stone, soft grit on her fingers like ash as she follows the Sydenham River from town, hunting red birthroot in the rust-colored beds of last year. 4. I don't know why John had to go so far from escarpment's strong spine. But after John Jr. married his Margaret, they left, embarked the boat once again. Fish, a silver shelf far below, gulls, gray shadows in sun. Like pollen, the children drifted the deck as the harbor fell farther, shrank back. Thank you so much for watching.